getting slammed as the rhetoric with China hits a fever pitch, with industrials and materials leading the way lower. The Dow now turning negative for the year. In fact, it was so bad at one point we even reached back in time and whipped out Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Yep, bingo.
Is that the one with the big T-shirts with the letters?
Yes, exactly.
Relax.
All right, we're moving on.
Buddy.
But as a trade war takes no market prisoners, we wanted to differentiate the individual stocks that should be selling off on fears of a trade war and which ones are being unfairly punished by investors on fears of a trade war. So we start here with Boeing down nearly 4%. And this is our game for tonight. Game right at the top. Trade war stock or not a trade war stock? Very straightforward, one would think. Tim, Boeing.
Nothing straightforward on this test, but I can play this game. Not a trade war stock, and here's why. I think that's right. I think the market is unjustly punishing Boeing. If you look at what's going on, especially as it relates to China, Boeing is mostly shipping 737s, and they're ultimately doing something that I think these are low-margin jets. If you wipe China deliveries completely off of Boeing, this is probably $5 to the share price. Also, really, what are your choices? You're going to go with an Airbus, the Neo A320. First of all, they've had major problems with that. Deliveries there are probably 7 or 8 years behind.
You say unjustly, though, Tim. It's over 12% of their revenue is derived from China. So how can it be unjustly? In 2017, they had a 300-plane contract for $37 billion.
It's about 9% of their order book right now. My understanding is, and again, this is listening to a couple of the top analysts on the street. Hunter K says you take China out of the delivery, it's $5 off the share price. Bottom line here is, airlines are not purchased at whim. This is a long cycle purchase item. I don't think China's in a position. Also, the deal that they have with COMAC means a lot of the small body airplanes are being made in China. And actually, I think that is somewhat insulating for Boeing here. Bottom line is, Boeing had a miraculous run on the way up. I think a lot of this is some air out of the sails. It's just based upon the share price.
So just to interpret, even though the market is beating this down as if it's the poster child of the trade war, you're saying it is not a trade war stock.
It's not a trade war stock.
Fundamentals.
This isn't justified.
It will not be hit, even if there is a trade war.
I don't know. Was I not clear?
No,
I mean, I know everybody's nervous about this game, but I mean,
we just want to get you on record.
Well.
I would say if there was a calendar of, like, if you did the calendar of trade war stocks, Boeing would be like Mr. January. And Caterpillar right behind.
I think you're wrong. And again, I think if you look at what is the choice? Are they going to go into an Airbus plane that's not being built correctly?
Do you think there's any China-related stocks at all?
Of course I do. Of course I do. In fact, I think you should probably talk about one at some point tonight.
Let's talk about another one. Let's talk about another one.
I just did. Boeing.
Apple. Trade war stock or not a trade war stock? Guy Adami, you're up.
Well, one would think the logical answer, it is a trade war stock, right? They get a significant percentage of their revenues there. Most of their components are built there. So, oh, my God, Apple's going to get decimated. I would say, however, not a trade war.
Wow, another guy who doesn't get the game.
Now, I think I'm playing the game right.
I think
I'm playing the game right. And if you look, and this is I think Tim Cook I think his relationship with China is such that they are not going to be harmed. I think they probably have some sort of handshake agreement with the Trump administration and probably the administration in China. Listen, don't come after us. If you want to do some ancillary stuff, that's fine. But my sense is this stock is not going to get hit if there's a full-blown trade war.
I want to clarify one thing.
If there is a full, I don't think
if it's a full-blown trade war, though, because
what does that mean?
Could be in the crosshairs, but I don't think there will be.
The growth that you're getting right now, and this will make you happy, Steve.
Thank you.
The growth that you're getting right now out of China and Japan, but China is what we're focusing on right now. The growth you're getting out of China right now is something we all lean on all the time. It is spectacular. 21% growth, right? I mean, that is something to look at and go, oh my goodness, this is a huge number. So if you're right and the handshake agreement is there, and I happen to agree with you, by the way, then I think you're right. I think this is not a trade war.
But that doesn't matter if there's a handshake agreement. It matters if it's a trade war stock or not. And 20% of revenues derived from China. It has to be a trade war stock.
So what are you saying? It is a trade war stock or it's not a trade war stock?
I think it is a trade. No, I think it's a trade war. I think it's a trade war stock. However, I do think so. But that's as long as that handshake agreement part of that is out of the equation.
By the way, a trade war.
Take a look.
Correct.
Take a look at CNBC.com. There was a great article today on CNBC.com about how the iPhone components, basically $370 of a $1,000 iPhone, are actually made from overseas.
Right.
And if you think that actually every one of those countries that's in line to get a piece of a component that's part of the iPhone manufacturing process, absolutely is a trade war stock. There's no question it's going to be impacted. I mean, that to me is
so if Apple's a trade war stock, then Boeing's a trade war stock.
You're right. We're out of that. We already talked about Boeing. You didn't get that point in before.
Boeing is ancient history at this point. Now we're talking Apple.
Just because I got you.
No, but you use the same metrics.
The components issue, that's an interesting argument because they will probably have to pay tariffs on the components going into China, into those Foxconn factories in order to be assembled.
Unless,
but the bigger problem could be
Korea and Taiwan.
If the Chinese government actually hampers those iPhones from being delivered or manufactured in some way by hampering
and pushes their own.
No, if that happens,
right into you, big boy.
Oh, so now he's backtracking. Guy's backtracking.
Ahead of iPhone launches in the fall.
Right. So it's a trade war stock, is what you're saying.
It's absolutely a trade war stock.
Right. Well,
plain as day.
I said the same.
Moving on. Nike.
Trade war stock.
Thank you, Grasso. Why?
Trade war stock. 12% of revenues. When you tick above 10%, it's a trade war stock.
You mean
where did that
from
stat
China?
come from?
Revenues from
Revenues.
China? Okay.
Revenues coming from out of China, 12%. And if you look at the performance, if you look at Under Armour, I know that we've had a rebound in Under Armour. Under Armour, not a trade war stock. Nike, a trade war stock.
We've had trade war chatter for 4 months, and Nike's basically right near all-time highs. How do you explain that?
Does it matter whether or not there's an impact of it? The market tries to discount whatever they have. You're thinking 2 dominoes removed. That's why you don't get the game.
I don't know.
Boeing is a trade war stock.
I don't
Apple's
know what you're even saying right now.
Nike's a trade war stock. I know, and that's why you don't get the game.
I would agree with Steve, though, because, again, similar to Apple, this is where the growth is for Nike. They're getting growth everywhere. Internationally, they're getting great growth. That at all. In fact, 17% of the growth.
But the recovery in Nike stock is North American deliveries.
No, it's not. No. You didn't like Nike because they were getting weak in North America.
I mean, that's
of
the North American market, and I think the competitive landscape is such that they're taking market share back from Adidas. That's a more important dynamic to me than China.
Can I ask a question?
Disagree.
Under what I know. This is formality here. Under what circumstance are you actually concerned about the revenues from China for a Nike? I mean, are you concerned? Is it a social boycott, social media boycott sort of scenario in which they're boycotting the goods?
I think you're going to see brands that are boycotted there. I think you'll see the McDonald's of the world. I think you'll see the Yums. I think you will see the Nikes. I think you will see the Apples. These are brands that will be boycotted.
You think Chinese people are going to stop going to McDonald's because
I think
that brings us to our next stop.
Wait a minute. Let me stop talking about that one.
McDonald's, trade war stock, or not a trade war stock. Pete.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
McDonald's.
Yes.
Here's the biggest problem. Yes, trade war stock, and here's why. As much as everybody thinks this is an all-American company, it's really not. Only 35% of the revenue from McDonald's actually coming from North America. When you look at China and the rest of the globe, twice the revenue growth of what you're seeing going on right now here in the United States.
Have you ever heard of the Big Mac Index, Mel?
What a Big Mac costs around the world.
What a Big Mac costs around the world. By the way, a Big Mac already costs more in China than it does here on a relative basis. So guess what? People are already overpaying for McDonald's in China. They are going out of their way to the Golden Arches because, in fact, it's an iconic global brand. They're not going to stop just because they're going to pay
McDonald's is down 4%. You know what's not a trade war
McDonald's has been on a record run.
Not a
all-time highs.
Domino's Pizza, not a trade war stock.
How did Domino's get in this?
I just slipped it in.
We had a much more important game. But I would say
this is
trying to make you guys understand the game.
I'd like to bring in someone who could really talk about this from an expert perspective.
Best relationship in China? And I would suggest it's Apple. Which is why Apple, when I answer the question, is not a trade war stock. Right? Didn't I say that?
Yes.
Right, on the handshake.
Not a trade war stock.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.